So hi everyone, this is Cyber Protection Magazine with another video bite, and this time we'll talk with Mike Schuricht from BitLabs about SSE and how it relates to some of the other sort of technologies out there. Mike, what's SSE and how can it help protect companies from cyber attacks?
Sure. SSE is Security Service Edge, and what that is basically is the data security components of SASE, the Secure Access Service Edge. And so what's basically happened is that the components of protection inside of SASE are comprised of kind of three main things. And Gartner has come up with this SSE acronym that's associated with cloud access security brokers, CASBs, Secure Web Gateway, SWIG type vendors, as well as Zero Trust Network Access or Zero Trust in general, ZTNA. So those three things combined make up this SSE component that is a subcomponent of the SASE framework. The other components that are not on the data security side, but are more on the network security side, are things like this firewall as a service and SD-WAN, and that typically gets talked about as a WAN edge. So SSE is the data security component underneath this umbrella of SASE services that was coined and invented in August of 2019 by Gartner.
Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. You know, following all these sort of new acronyms, and Gartner seems to be very active in creating those. But how does that really protect companies? You know, when we talk about that SSE Security Service Edge specifically.
Sure. So I think there's two main things. One is the realization that when you're protecting one of these SaaS applications, people are typically doing that. You know, the Microsoft 365s, the Boxes and the Salesforces with a cloud access security broker. Okay, and so the policies that you're doing there are monitoring things like a managed versus an unmanaged device, so that you can control the user's access and identify who's doing what, right? And then also look at data movement from a protection perspective. So something moving out of the corporate storage location like the OneDrive to an endpoint. That same type of thing that you would want to do from a protection perspective is also true for your internal applications, which is where something like Zero Trust and ZTNA kicks in. So if you can take those two things together, what people are trying to do is combine the SaaS app protection with something like a CASB with the Zero Trust Network Access components that are associated with ZTNA, so that you can monitor what's going on these trusted applications and then control what occurs. So that's where Secure Web Gateway comes in, because what you want to also be blocking when someone's not going to one of those sanctioned apps is the web. So you don't want threats to occur. You want to block malware and threats and phishing and things like that are occurring from the general web, but also purposeful as well as accidental type data exfiltration. So when I'm doing work, and you know you're working these days and you're operating inside of these sanctioned SaaS apps, sometimes you switch to a personal type account for some reason or another. And so accidentally, someone could take some of the corporate content and accidentally put it into one of those accounts, right? So blocking that, controlling that accidental exfiltration or that purposeful exfiltration is key. But across the board, you know, just controlling the proliferation of threats. So data security wise, identifying the sensitivity of the data, controlling those sanctioned SaaS apps that maintain and home that data, and then making sure that it doesn't get leaked by things that are infecting your machine or by activities that were accidental or purposeful by a user. Is really this whole SSE component.
Okay, then it sounds like SSE is sort of the more complete solution compared to maybe just a cloud access security broker. So, you know, if I'm like a small, medium-sized businesses, would you recommend to sort of focus on the SSE component rather than doing all the different components separately?
Yeah, I think that's changed dramatically over the last 2 years even. So what's really going on these days is that, like I talked about a minute ago, from the sanctioned app service perspective, be it the SaaS app, right, or the internal app, what you're looking for is that data movement, and you don't really care that it happens to be an internal app versus a SaaS app. So if you go out there and you're just focused on buying these single player type individual CASB only type components, you're missing the aspect of the internal applications, and you're also missing the controls for the accidental or purposeful exfiltration of the data and being infected. So over the last 2 years, there's only been an acceleration of combining those three things together, right? Without doing so, it becomes really difficult to kind of piecemeal things together. And so that's where this SSE and this new Magic Quadrant that's coming out at the end of 2021 is focused upon, identifying who those vendors are that can provide those services in one platform, because it's a more holistic view. And also ROI wise, you can actually save money on that by buying that from one vendor instead of three.
That's true. And yeah, it sounds like cybersecurity is and will stay very dynamic, with a very rapid development. And yeah, thanks, Mike, for explaining SSE to us and also explaining the benefits for us. And yeah, looking forward for maybe the next explanation and see where we are in 2 years' time and what other acronyms Gartner has come up with.
I appreciate the time, Patrick. Thank you.
Thanks.